Coming up next on the Jeff Crilley Show, you're going to meet a nationally known leadership expert. She says that most companies have a people problem, and she believes that leaders create great cultures. Her incredible journey just ahead.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show.
Well, there's an old saying that people don't leave companies, they leave bad bosses. And unfortunately, most bosses in America haven't even read a leadership book. They don't know how to manage a team. And that's why I brought in my next guest, Sally Bryant. She's the CEO of the Bryant Group. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me, Jeff.
Absolutely. You've been doing this for a while.
I have,
And
yes.
How did it start?
How did it start, my leadership journey?
Mm-hmm.
Well, let me tell you a quick story.
Please.
So my first job out of college, I worked for an amazing leader, actually an icon in our industry, and did not know how great I had it. She was very inclusive. She listened to everybody's opinions. And I was literally 2 days out of college when I started that job. I thought I was all that in a bag of chips, but now I look back and think, why was she even listening to me in this big group of people? Well, I went from there to my next job and worked for an amazing organization, but for a leader who I think just had some real personal insecurities or maybe just didn't understand how to create that culture. Mm-hmm. And the vast difference between the two is what really was the catalyst for my leadership journey and being passionate about what a great difference leadership makes. So I do believe that leadership is what changes the world. So if you're a leader of an organization that makes great impact, higher education, healthcare, large nonprofit, mini corporations, even government, of course,
yes, then
you are making a great external impact. But what a lot of people don't think about is the personal impact you're making on your team and your people every day. So that passion for leadership, I went through several phases of my career and eventually joined my husband's company, Bryant Group, which was an executive search firm recruiting great leaders, mostly for higher education and healthcare. About a decade ago, I said to him, I think that we need to not just recruit great leaders, we need to help develop great leaders. And he said, sounds great, please do it. Over the next 5 years or so, he was phasing out. We were transitioning into my running the company, and he's now retired. But now leadership development, executive coaching for leaders is one of our major service lines.
We're going to pull up your website, and I want to start with the graphic that's at the top of the website. Recruiting, developing, coaching, you really advancing. Talk about some of the things that you're passionate about, and we should also point out that you are on the Inc. list, the Forbes list. I mean, you've done some pretty incredible things.
Thank you. I have an amazing team. We, if you think about two main service lines, we recruit executives and we coach executives, both individually and executive teams. And I will tell you, coaching an executive or a leadership team, to me, is what can really move the needle and makes the most difference. Again, we work mostly in higher education and healthcare and very large nonprofits. However, we also do have some corporate experience and even some government. So now I forgot the question.
No, just it was basically what makes you guys different from others in your field.
Yes, what makes us different. So very interesting question and one that I love. We like to say that we are uncommon on purpose. So let me start in the executive search line. One of the things that we have found in the executive search industry is people believe that it's a transactional industry, that people feel like a number when they're being recruited to a job. We are all about making it a relational industry and that everyone feels respected and is elevated as a leader in the process.
I love that.
So some of my favorite testimonials are the ones from candidates who did not get the job. And those testimonials are, you changed my life, you made me more confident, you helped me at a time when I was struggling. And I just feel like those stories are everything.
Yeah.
So our core value of proactive communication really helps with that, having people feel respected. So that's one of the ways we would be different on the executive search side. And we have a proven and documented process that ensures everyone, client and candidates, know exactly what's happening every step of the way. So that's on that side. And you'll see a theme here because it's all about elevating people and making a positive impact. On the leadership development side, we do both individual coaching and, again, team coaching. And one of the things that we find is that sometimes people think leadership development or leadership education, it's a nice add-on, right? You and I talked about you're a good individual contributor, you're great at your job, whatever that job is, and so you get promoted to management. You might get some management training. You probably don't get any leadership training. And so we are looking to help people elevate as actual leaders. I believe there are leaders at every step of the organization. We work mostly with C-suite and the one level, the mid-level managers right below that, because that's all trickle down in the organization. How are we different from other people who do leadership development? I think it all comes down to our mission of making a positive impact in the world and knowing that leadership development is not an add-on. It's not a nice to have. We believe it is the absolute foundation of every successful company, every successful team. It's not something you do after strategy, after planning. It's something you do first and always.
Yes. Much more from Sally in a minute. We found this great overview video. Let's go ahead and roll that now.
My leadership journey started at the very beginning of my career when I had the honor and privilege of working under an amazingly effective leader. And then after that, I worked under a very ineffective leader. The stark difference between the two really changed my life. And what I'm so passionate about is great leadership. And I know that that has to start with me and my learning to be a great leader. I spent some time over the years really thinking about the difference between those two leaders at the beginning of my career. And the first one was so inclusive. She just knew how to bring everybody together and listen. And I was brand new. I was straight out of college. And yet she still took in my opinions, my thoughts, and made me feel equal to the rest of the team, people who had been there for years and years. The ineffective leader that I worked for after that was more like one person with a group of people who she wanted to just do her bidding. So it's like one person with a lot of helpers instead of the team collective and what you get from having everyone working together. So I'd spent some time thinking about what is it that helps a person be that kind of effective leader. I think one of the most important things about being an effective leader is being someone who always has an open mind for a growth mindset. What do I need to learn? How can I get better? Can I get my ego out of the way to take in feedback? Because that is really, really difficult. I think it's just difficult as a human being to do that. But that ability to learn humility, learn to listen to others' opinions, to encourage others to push back on you, and to have that mindset makes such a huge difference. Before I had some leadership positions, I really thought of a leader as being the top of the organization and then having all these people on your team who kind of helped out. But what I learned about effective leadership is really the best leaders are at the bottom of the organization and they are supporting their people and getting challenges out of the way, helping to pull in their opinions and ideas, encouraging them to push back, and always being transparent and being authentic. Because trust is everything on a leadership team. It is everything. In fact,
There has been research that has shown that no matter what other amazing things your leaders have, trust is the #1 predictor of success on a leadership team. So those are some of the things that I've learned about leadership, and I do say it's a constant journey. I tell my team, I'm still learning, I will always be learning, and please tell me how I can do it better.
Well, I know you've helped countless clients over the last decade. Tell us one of your favorite success stories.
One of the success stories that comes to mind, Jeff, is when we were working with an R1, a Research One university in the Northeast, very well-known university, and we were working with one of their executive teams. This was during COVID, and so it was interesting because we were doing all of this over Zoom, whereas people were not even used to doing that. But what we found during COVID, if you can imagine, most people were not doing a lot of executive search because they were actually laying people off.
Yes.
We really leaned into our leadership development to help serve our clients. So what did that mean? That meant working with this team to ensure several things. Did they understand their core values? Did they understand each other? Did they understand how to communicate, and did they understand how to build trust? Because those were the things that allowed them to make the decisions they needed to make during COVID. You can imagine the decisions these, and this was obviously a university, but I mean, healthcare, even maybe more obviously impactful decisions. But people didn't think about during COVID, for example, what are the ramifications of students actually not coming back to campus? Well, if you are in a small town, which a lot of even large universities are in very small towns, then you are impacting the business owner down the street, the restaurant owner, the hotel owner. There's no football games. So the economic impact was huge, and people didn't know how to make these decisions in an unfamiliar environment. So we were able to lean in and really help serve them in that way. We find that those are not one-offs. Those are things that need to happen over time, because as I mentioned, leadership is a journey. But the difference in that team and some of the hard decisions they had to make, one of theirs was we were more on the tail end of COVID, and they were working to put in a remote work policy. What's our policy going to be now that it's okay to come back to campus? Do we have a hybrid? How does that impact people? Can some people be at home and others not? It's these big decisions that people think, I need a grounding in how to make a really valuable decision that creates great culture and that's emotionally healthy.
Outstanding. And you are in the process of writing a book that will come out sometime next year. So let's put this on the screen. I love the name, The Trust Paradox. What does that mean?
The Trust Paradox. So there are a lot of books and discussions and podcasts out there, and you're going to hear, in fact, I think I'm going to start counting how many times a day I hear someone say, well, you have to have trust, or I'm going to hire that person because I trust them, or I'm going to hire that person because Jeff knows them and I trust Jeff. I mean, trust can go down a couple of relationship steps. I love the talk about how to be trustworthy. I love Brené Brown's Braving acronym about how to be trustworthy. I love Patrick Lencioni's basis of everything that makes a cohesive team is trust. I believe both of those things. I think being trustworthy is only one part of the equation. And the other part of the equation that most people don't talk about or think about is the other party willing to trust you?
Yes.
Even if you're trustworthy, you may have another party that's not willing to trust you. And so how do you identify that? How do you get what is behind that? Maybe they had a bad experience at another workplace.
Yes.
Maybe they had an abusive relationship. So they're bringing in this barrier to trust that you cannot change by just being trustworthy. And if I may, I also believe trust is the basis of every cohesive team. So you have to create this trusting environment, this psychological safety, which, by the way, I know some people are, as soon as they hear that, they turn off. I know I did for the longest time, until what I understood is being in a psychologically safe environment. What that means is You are able to admit mistakes without repercussion. You are encouraged to give your opinion, and you are encouraged to take risks. It's actually the hard stuff to do. It's the never not having the crucial conversation. You always have that conversation. So that trust creates cohesion. Cohesion makes collaboration effortless, and collaboration makes results amazing.
Wow. Unfortunately, we're out of time. You're amazing. You're such a great guest. We have to have you back very soon. We're going to end with her website, which is Bryant, grp.com. The great Sally Bryant. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you so much, Jeff. It's been a pleasure.
You bet. That's it for now. We'll see you next time.